Do you know the difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval? Those two words get thrown around pretty much synonymously throughout the mortgage and real estate industry. But in today's video, I want to explain to you the difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval. Now, one of the first things that you're going to be told to do when you look to buy a house is get pre-approved. The reason why you want to get pre-approved first is you want to make sure that you understand what you can qualify for. You've talked to a lender, you understand your budget, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. You're gonna have a million questions and you wanna make sure you get these questions answered, because let me tell you, when you get in the middle of buying a house, the process goes extremely fast. You're getting calls from everybody, from the title company, the lender, the buyer's agent, the home inspector, the appraiser. There's so many people that are going to be reaching out to you saying you need to wire money, you need to do this, you need to do that. And let me tell you, it gets overwhelming. And by the way, if we haven't met before, my name is Sean Uehara. I'm a branch manager with Loan Depot, helping you finance your homes all across America. Whether you're purchasing your first home, buying an investment property, building your real estate portfolio, or simply looking to refinance, we've got you covered. Make sure you hit the description below for links to more information on how to get your mortgage right. The pre-approval is the most important part of the entire buying process. I'll get into that a little more later. Now, the difference between the pre-qualification and the pre-approval. The biggest thing is when you're looking at a pre-qual, it's more of something that lenders will do on the fly. They're not really verifying your information. A lot of it is done over the phone. The most common questions a lender will ask you is your personal information, right? So your name, your birthday, your social, where do you live, how long you've lived there, are you paying rent, do you live with family? Then they go into your employment situation. So how long have you been at your job? What's your job title? What kind of income are you currently earning? Do you earn tips? Are there commissions involved? Now, during a pre-qualification, like I said, a lot of this is going to be done over the phone, or maybe you filled out some information online, and the lender will probably spit out a pre-approval based on the information that you provide them. That's right, the information that you provide them. So there's a lot of things can go wrong with that process, because if you're a first-time home buyer and you don't really understand the questions that you're being asked, you could easily answer them wrong. And you're not doing it maliciously, you just don't know the difference. I can tell you, after being in this business for 15 years, you'd be surprised how many people ask me what the difference between gross income is and net income. So that alone right there could throw off your application. Your lender could tell you that you're approved, or they could even tell you that, hey, maybe you don't qualify for the amount of money that you're looking to borrow. Other parts of the pre-qual, like I mentioned, the lender's not verifying any information. Another problem that can come up is if you're self-employed. Now, when you're self-employed, so many of you always look at the top line revenue. I made $500,000 last year, whatever the number ends up being. But a lender doesn't look at the gross. They look at the net when it comes to being self-employed or having 1099 income. That is one thing I see happening countless times, that clients will always say, I made this amount of money, I should be able to qualify, I should be able to buy. We finish their application and next thing you know, they're not buying what they want to buy. Now, I know some of you that are shopping, you want to just do the pre-qual because you need a letter to go look at a house, or maybe your realtor hasn't educated you on the process, or even your lender as to why you should get a pre-approval done. Now, the pre-qual letter may suffice in many situations where you can get into a house to look at a property, or maybe even submit an offer without verifying any information. Another comment that comes up is I've had clients that will say, well, I've never had to provide my lender any information. I've never done this before. You have to remember, back in the wild, wild west days of 2005 to 2007 and 8, before the crash happened, a lender didn't need to verify anything, because you know why? There were so many different loan programs out there. And as a worst case scenario, there was always a loan called a no income, no asset verification loan, that even if the most rookiest of loan officers were out there screwed up on the application, they could throw you in that loan and they could probably get it closed. But in today's world, you have to qualify for the mortgage. That's why a lender is going to ask you for all the paperwork up front. Now, when we think about a pre-approval is way more solid, because the lender is pulling your credit. They're going to ask you for 1 month of pay stubs. They're going to ask you for 2 months of bank statements, 2 years of tax returns, and 2 years of W-2 forms. Some of you might say, well, shoot, Sean, I don't want to give you all that information. I just want a pre-qual letter. Guys, this is where so many of you will make the mistake and not want to put the work in up front to get the pre-approval done. taking a shortcut just so you can go out and look at a house is not going to do you any good. I can reassure you of that. Like I said, it might work for a very small percentage of you out there, but the vast majority, there could be so many things that can come up that can bite you in the butt in the 11th hour. And you have to remember, there's thousands of dollars that are at risk with your earnest money deposit. The money you spent on an appraisal, the money you spent on inspections, and all the other costs that go into the home buying process, that if your loan doesn't close, you're not getting that money back. So is it worth cutting corners up front just to not provide a little bit of information to your lender? I certainly think providing the information is totally valuable and totally worth getting the information to your lender. Now, as I mentioned, the pre-approval is where the lender verifies all the information. This is a process that my team personally, we do with every single client. Like I mentioned, I've been doing this for 15 years and I've seen countless loans fall apart from other lenders because the lenders are taking shortcuts. They're not verifying information. And to be honest, we've even had some deals fall apart too because clients didn't disclose information properly on an application. Or if they completed an online application, they didn't tell us the entire story. They didn't give us all the information. For example, I actually had a client who was still legally married after 10 years of not talking to his wife. He said he was divorced. He said he was single, didn't disclose that he was married. And we found out in the 11th hour he was still married, and we needed his wife to sign off on him purchasing this house with his new wife. How crazy was that? And guess what? I had to make the phone call to explain to his ex-wife that he was buying a house with his new wife and she had to sign in order for him to do so. So let me tell you, that was not a nice call that I had to make. Now, the pre-approval, like I said, it is more valuable. It holds more weight because the listing agent knows that you've talked to a lender, everything's been verified. And I can also tell you this, in a competitive market that we're in right now, all across the country, most homes are selling fairly quickly. Now, what does that mean? In order for you to get your offer accepted, the seller wants to make sure that you can close on the house. They need some reassurance. They want to know that if they take your offer, you can perform and close on that house in a reasonable amount of time. And in most cases, it's 30 days or less. So now think about this. Let's say you were the seller. Would you want to take a pre-qual letter that nothing's been verified? Everything's done over the phone. The lender hasn't looked at any paperwork whatsoever. Or would you rather take a pre-approval where you know they've pulled credit, they've verified the income, and they've verified the assets, and they know that they can actually get the loan done? I think it'd be safe to say that we would take the pre-approval. So put yourself in the seller's shoes and just think about, what do you need to do to get an offer accepted? And that's why I always stress about getting a pre-approval done, because the last thing that I want to do is make a phone call to you telling you that I can't get your loan done because there was information that was missed up front, or there was information that was input incorrectly on the application. Now, if you're thinking about buying a house and it's on your radar, don't forget, getting pre-approved is the most important thing that you can do to set yourself up for success in buying a house. Now, if you have any other questions or you're thinking about buying or refinancing, don't forget, you can check out this playlist to learn how to get your mortgage right, and I will see you on the next video.